Okay, well, now I'm going to show you how to make, to show whether or not a solution is an electrolyte. And it uses a very simple idea. We will take, I have two electrodes, if I could pick them up, here. There's two electrodes, see? And these electrodes will be dipped into water, and they will be connected to this 9-volt battery, okay, which in turn is connected to this lamp and lamp stand here. So I don't know if you can see this, but anyway, this lamp and lamp stand. So if there's enough electrolyte, then the circuit will be completed and the lamp will go on. So that's the general idea. It's a very simple thing to make. Okay, so now we have, I'm going to adjust the zoom a little bit. So now with the electrodes put in place, okay, and I neglected to tell you that the electrodes, I have to get the zoom just about right here. The electrodes, I pushed them so that, you know, maybe half a centimeter or something like that is raising above the surface. This is where we're going to make the electrical contacts that we'll need with the battery and the lamp and stuff like that. So you need to leave a little bit of a post up there so that you can see it, so that you have something to hook to. Later on, we will put a drop of Gorilla Glue or some kind of glue on the bottom here to kind of make sure that these electrodes don't pull out. But the next thing we got to do is begin the process of taking the lamp stand that I have here. You see, I have the lamp stand here, and it's a bayonet style lamp stand, so that's going to make it easier to just take the lamp, for instance, that I have here. I'll take the lamp here, and I could just, you know, it's one of those type where you just kind of push it in against a spring and it locks in place. It's just less shenanigans. See how nice it is? You don't have to worry about screwing it in place and stuff like that. But now we have to attach this to this unit here, to this part. And so you'll see that this is, we got this lamp stand, it's bent. And so we have to kind of prep it for the next step. And I just take my hands here and bend it a little bit so that we can bend it straight, see? And then I bend it in such a way that there is going to be a flat portion that kind of curves. See how, whoops, see how it curves and it's flat like that? That's going to be, that flat part there, we're going to use glue to glue that into place on the acrylic. So we'll use, for the purposes of this workshop, we will use glue, but we'll also tape it so that the glue has a chance to cure and stuff. You can choose whether or not you want to keep the tape on it. It depends on your sensibilities with regard to style. I don't tend to have too many of those. So anyway, here we go. I'm gonna, the key part to this whole thing is, so I got this here, this acrylic, and we want to set this guy so that it is making contact. So this piece here is pushed up tight against here to make contact with the lamp stand. So, you know, it's not loose, it's going to make contact. Eventually that will be one of the sites that you'll want to solder, but we'll put the glue, let's see if I can do this, my fingers are too big here. You put the glue underneath here so that it sticks, and you know, we have considerable surface contact so that it should stick pretty well if you pick the right kind of glue, and we are, because we're going to use Gorilla Glue, and Gorilla Glue's really good stuff. I'm also going to tape it down after I glue it, tape it in place so that the glue has a chance to set, and that's essentially what you're going to do as well. So let's do the gluing part. Okay, I got the old handy dandy Gorilla Glue there, and I'm just going to put some glue along the base. It doesn't have to be a ton of glue. Something like that. Got it glued on, and now I'm just going to slide it in place and make sure it's got lots of points of contact. And then I'm going to grab a piece of tape. So I'm going to make sure that that's nice and good there. I'm going to add a piece of tape just to hold it in place. And see, you can see how it's in place. This is uptight against here. It's hard to tell, but that's uptight the electrode is. So I'll be able to solder that position. Alrighty, now what we also, the next step is to take our 9-volt little adapter here and take these wires and connect them up to the electrodes. One to the electrode and one to the lamp stand. Now the lamp stand has, if you look here, this lamp stand on this side of the lamp stand is going to be connected to this electrode. This lamp stand, this part of the lamp stand, we're going to hook the battery terminal, battery wire I should say, to this side and hook the other part of the battery to this electrode. And essentially at that point, minus the soldering, we would be done with a little couple drops of glue on the electrodes and ready to use. So let's do that. Okay, so you got the bare wire here. So I'm wrapping around the exposed piece. Let's see if I can get that. You can see I got it wrapped around the exposed piece to that electrode. And then I'm going to wrap around this other side here. So when it's all said and done, here's what it looks like. We got those two pieces hanging off, see? So this one's hung to the lamp stand base, and this one's hung to the electrode. Okay, so what I've done is I've hooked this into my vise so that I can do some soldering, and I'm just going to solder up the edges, a little soldering iron, and see if I can make some good electrical connections and keep things happy. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little solder there. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and solder this up. And last but not least, this guy. Looks pretty good. Oops, I forgot. Pretend I'm wearing eyeglasses. I should have had my safety glasses on and I forgot. Okay, here I go. That should do it. That's the finished product. I spoke too soon. That's not the finished product. What I wanted to do is, the deal here is these things, this is kind of hanging off. You could try to go ahead and glue it, but this makes a really snug fit with the battery. I think you'd just be constantly pulling it off. So it probably makes sense to just kind of leave it hang. But if you want to reinforce this whole thing, a little piece of tape to kind of run these things, you can run them together toward the end and just tape them down. I should probably take this out of the vise anyway. And I'll just kind of run these off the end and just tape them down. You could glue them down, I suppose. I think taping is probably more effective anyway. So then you can just plug your battery in and out here, see? And that should work. Now it's time to see if this thing does work. See if I made all my electrical connections the way they needed to be made. So you'll know that you made good electrical connections. So I connected the battery, see? And I have it here. I can just set it right here if I would like, you know, something like that. And you'll know that the connections are good. all you got to do is just a quick test. You just bend these two electrodes, and if you touch it, bingo, lights. So let's try it on some electrolyte solutions and just see how that works. Okay, so there you go. You know, everything's hooked up properly. Yeah, you may not like the tape part of it, but you can always improvise as needed. So there you go. I would recommend that when you store it, you do disconnect the battery, so that the battery doesn't leak and ruin all your good work. Okay, so you can see I got a glass of just regular old water here, tap water. I didn't do anything to it. It's actually not even tap water. I grabbed it from my refrigerator. It's tap water that's been filtered through my refrigerator unit. So let's see how this works. So we'll go ahead and put this on top. Okay, see how well you can see that. Should be able to see that pretty good. And I'll add the battery to it, and I'll just stuff it up here, and you can see there isn't enough electrolyte to complete the circuit. Okay, so that's one of the things you'll note. And so that shows you that water, by reasonably pure water, is not going to be a very good conductor of electricity. Okay, I just got back from the kitchen. I got my table salt here. Take this unit off. And add some salt. And by the way, this is interesting. I don't know how to get it, but you'll notice that even though there wasn't enough to really complete the circuit and light the lamp, it turns out that there were bubbles flowing off of this, indicating that some electrolysis of the water was happening. So add some salt. I'll add 1 spoonful first and mix it up. A lot better. See, now the light's lit. Let's see if you can, I don't know how well you can see that. Around probably messed it up. Okay, now I'll add a little bit more, and see if we can really affect something special. If I just go and see if I can really, then you could try other things like river water, you know, pond water, sugar water, and just kind of see. See, that definitely lights brighter than it did before. And if you look down at the electrodes, which I can't really show you, I don't know that it would show, but they're just piling off tons more of the bubbles now, giving off the hydrogen and oxygen gas through electrolysis. So anyway, pretty cool. There you have it. I will say one thing, I did forget one thing. After all this, I got so excited, I forgot to put the glue on the bottom of the electrodes. So I'll do that now and then let it sit. But anyway, you can see it works pretty good.